The following is a special presentation of the Not Quite Right podcast, in which we discuss, in detail, entries to our erotic flash fiction competition, the Not Quite Right prize for flesh fiction. This episode contains adult themes and is not appropriate for listeners under the age of 18. And Mum, if you're still listening, that's on you.
Something doesn't seem quite right.
Welcome to Not Quite Right. My name's Ed.
And I'm Amanda.
You ready to get dirty?
Oh dear, I guess. I'm feeling actually extremely nervous because now comes the time when we have to actually read some of these stories out loud, and we've just been able to read them sort of in private.
In the safety of our own minds.
And there's some challenging content, shall we say, some stuff that's really going to put me out of my comfort zone in terms of public speaking, if you will.
Yes.
So, what about you?
Yeah, similarly apprehensive, but look, I've been looking forward to this as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know that our entrants and listeners have also been looking forward to this.
Absolutely.
So this is the point in time that we deliver, that we put ourselves out there a little bit and do the thing.
Yeah, this is the part, I guess, where we repay.
Yes.
I feel like people have really put themselves on the line. They've opened themselves up to critique and to judgment, I guess.
And perhaps to other things.
Maybe in some cases. And, that's a lot to ask. And I feel sort of obligated to repay that.
Don't make it an obligation. It's like pity sex. I guess I feel, because you seem upset. So, all right, so let's get into it. This is going to be the first of 6 category specific episodes for the Flesh Fiction competition, our erotic short story competition. So for each of the 6 categories that were in that competition, we will be speaking to one of our guest judges, and we'll be sharing our thoughts on the submissions that we had for this category. And we'll also be revealing the podium, the 3rd and 2nd place getters.
But not first place.
Why
Because
not? We're saving that one for the final episode, which will have all 6 winners from each of the 6 categories, including the overall winner of the Not Quite Right prize for Flesh Fiction.
My God.
But the super exciting thing that we'll be doing in these episodes, exciting for me, is that we'll be reading out the 2nd place story, because of course we'll be reading out the 1st place story in the final episode.
Yeah, and we didn't want to just read out the top stories, right? We wanted to give you more, so we thought, well, let's read out 2nd place as well. So yeah, I am nervous about that, but I'm excited to share these stories. I know everybody's been hanging on the edge of their seats for these results, obviously wanting to see their own name on that podium.
Perhaps sliding off the end of their seats.
Oh dear. And I guess no matter whether you placed longlisted, it's still going to be a great time. Whether you submitted to this category or not, we have a little reward at the end, which is a very entertaining piece of erotic flash fiction for everyone to enjoy.
Read by myself or Amanda. So a lot to look forward to. That's 12 stories we'll be reading out. And look, we do plan on releasing some more, perhaps on the Patreon feed at a later date. So there's
just a case of getting these episodes out to you guys, getting the results out.
Absolutely. We want to get these out as quickly as possible. And these 6 episodes are not going to be as long as the long list episode. We appreciate that was a very long episode. But we want to get these out as quick as possible. And this is
And look, it's not the size of it, it's how you use it.
The quality, not the quantity. Absolutely. So all that being said, everyone who's in the long list in this category or in each of the categories for these episodes is still in contention for the prize, and you won't find out who the winner is today. But we'll share our thoughts, and you will hear the 2nd place story, which is, of course, going to be a great story in each category. So a lot to look forward to and a lot of fun yet to come. It's like a slot machine at the moment. It's just
ding, ding, ding.
So to kick off the festivities, we are going to have a chat with our guest judge for this category, who is Jo Lyons. Now, Jo is a friend of yours, a member of the Coven.
Yeah, so Jo is a romantic comedy author. She signed a 10-book deal with Boldwood last year, which is insane. So she is currently just absolutely churning out prose. So Jo's just living the life, like living in Spain and writing and also being an amazing human at the same time. So I don't even know how she found time to help us, to be honest. I really appreciate it because, of course, it was all volunteered. You know, this is a free competition. We weren't able to offer any sort of payment. She did it completely for free, and I really appreciate that. And if anyone knows comedy, it's Jo. So we're very fortunate to have her help us judge this category. But yeah, we had a lovely chat with Jo. So why don't we play that now?
So thanks for joining us, Jo. And Jo, you've generously helped judge the comedy category. So tell us a little bit about your experience with comedy and I guess also your experience as a writer.
Oh, thanks for having me, Ed and Amanda. And thanks for asking me to be a judge. I jumped at the opportunity because I've read quite a lot of Amanda's work and been involved in some of these competitions before. It's always very uplifting and it's a great creative process to go through. And the feedback that you two give, I find as a writer very helpful. So my background is I came to comedy writing quite late. It coincided with COVID when everything seemed to be falling apart. Like I lost my job, marriage wasn't great at the time. The kids were teenagers and stuck in the house. So in that sort of probably one of the bleakest times of my life, I found solace in writing. I never set out to be a comedy writer because I wouldn't class myself as a particularly funny person. Like I couldn't,
Well,
if you said, tell us a joke, make us laugh.
I think you're hilarious.
Thank you. But so the type of writing that I was doing at the time or trying to do was writing that was uplifting and that was amusing to me. And then, of course, I met Amanda because I decided that actually everything I was writing was a big pile of garbage. So I thought, I'll do a writing course and learn how to write. And Amanda and I have been friends ever since.
Absolutely. Ed's just giving me a knowing look because you said that you figured everything was a pile of garbage and that's how you met me. And he thinks my writing's a pile of garbage. Is that where we're getting to?
No, look, we've this side note, we've just been singing The Wind Beneath My Wings for various reasons and it just reminded me of that. But
well, I think all writers start out like that. And I will tell you where I'm at with my writing career. But it was just interesting during the judging process. It was lovely to see writers who seemed at the beginning of their writing careers and writers who were very clearly established and loving what they were doing. And that whole journey is for every writer, I think, of whatever genre and whatever type of writing you do. So I write novels. They're typically about 80,000, 85,000 words long. And while I was beginning, figuring everything out, doing writing courses, learning from scratch how to write a book, I was fortunate enough to be shortlisted in the Comedy Women in Print Awards that we have in the UK. And that gave me a huge boost early on in my writing career. So those piles of garbage that I was writing no longer seemed as rubbish once some other people had read it and said, no, that's quite good, that. So I hung on in there, went through like writers do, many, many rejections, looking for agents and editors and publishers until 2024. So I was 3.5 years in. I was self-publishing by then, which was brilliant. I absolutely love and will never give up and will always do. It's a fantastic option for writers who want to get their work out there and learn how it's done and about the industry. So then in the summer of 2024, I met an editor from a publisher, and over the next few months, she looked at my work, and cut a long story short, I ended up signing a 10-book deal with them, Boldwood Books, and it's been brilliant. And I'm out here in Lanzarote trying to write the 9th book that I'm contracted to write with them.
10-book deal, Jo, is just mad. Like 10,
it's crazy.
10 books. I haven't even managed to finish one. Ed hasn't even managed to
Well,
start
I'll
one.
tell you, yeah. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I had to pinch myself because it just sounded wild. But the reality is that it's a lot of pressure and I need to write 3 books a year to stay on track, at least.
That's crazy.
So that doesn't give you much of a break between. And Amanda, you're one of my beta readers, so you know that sometimes I accidentally use the same character name. I accidentally copy myself from the last book and the same gags and stuff like that. So having my writing group is essential to that 10-book deal.
Well, it's a crazy workload, but you've chosen a really good location to get work done. So I'm really envious of where you are at the moment. And Amanda, I'll have you know that I've actually started dozens of novels. But anyway,
You've got binders of novels.
and binders of future novels.
Yeah, I have too. I think that's good. It's good to have things just half written and sort of jump on the creative train as and when it takes you. And I think that's one of the great things about the flash fiction and the flesh fiction. It's a much easier win-win. You've got your story much faster, I think.
Well, let's delve into the flesh fiction then. You're a comedy writer. You've got lots of experience with comedy, but do you have much experience with erotic comedy?
So my books and the deal with the publisher is they wanted the romantic comedies to be a bit spicy, not like completely Mills and Boon explicit level, but I'd say a 1 chili or a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So judging this competition was really quite eye-opening for me. And in one way it was affirming because some of the stories that I judged were very much a sort of demure and a 1 chili. And then others really went for it. And I was applauding them. And I thought, oh, go on, 5 chilies. And some of them were really sort of got me hot under the collar.
Is there any that stand out in your memory?
Yeah, there was one, and I'm sorry, I don't, because there were so many. I mean, I judged like sort of over 130 of them. A lot of them were like sort of forbidden scenarios. So it was like a doctor and a patient where she'd done something very embarrassing and he was trying to retrieve it. And there was bizarrely as well, because the brief was making the unsexy irresistible. And one of your writers did the most fantastic job of making a self-checkout sexy.
Interesting.
With some of the concepts that your listeners come up with were absolutely mind-blowing. Some of them were just so good. I mean, there was one which was absolutely fantastic, and it was about cosmetic surgery.
Oh, yes.
And lip fillers.
Yes, that was
and
great.
that was so cleverly put together.
I'm wondering, Jo, because I think for the Not Quite Right community, you know, the people who were writing for us before we launched this competition, they understand us, they understand our sense of humour, and I think we're going pretty out there on that theme. So when it came to the unsexy being irresistible, they were going as unsexy as possible and then going wild with the results. So were you shocked at all by the themes and the approach that people took?
Oh, absolutely. Almost every time I opened a story, I was just amazed at the such high quality of the writing, and the concepts were so clever. I would never have come up with them myself. I was thinking, I really hope that this writer goes on to develop their writing career and in whichever way they want, you know, because you had a few entries that they actually put in the notes that this was their 2nd attempt, 3rd attempt, even 4th attempt. And I thought, brilliant, because that reminded me of me back in the day. It is about perseverance and giving it a go and trying again and again and again.
Yeah, I agree. And look, the long list is it was 10% of all of our stories. So comedy was our biggest category, and I think it was about 130 odd stories, and that means only 13 make the long list. And by no means does it mean that the other, excuse me for my maths, but 117 odd stories don't deserve to be there, because many of them absolutely do. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, Jo. Don't be discouraged.
Oh, yeah. I think I had about 75 to be long-listed and I had about 60 to win. Yeah, they were really good.
And Jo, did you find anything about this judging process that you will use or that you took with you into your own writing practice? Is there anything that stood out to you, or I guess that you reflected on afterwards in terms of your own writing?
100%. I learned loads, Amanda. I think it's so clever to be able to write a full story with a beginning, a middle and an end, character arcs and all the things that writers put into novels, to do that in so few words. Some of the entries were like 500 words and they were really gripping. And I was just like, it takes real skill to do this. And then a lot of the sex scenes as well were really well written. And it was more than one occasion I was reading some of the stories thinking, these sex scenes are way better than I can write in my stories. And I would go over it again and just look at how cleverly they were put together and what they were doing that I don't. So yeah, it was a huge learning curve for me in some ways. Loved it.
Were there any deal breakers for you in terms of writing style, things that put you off? I know you were quite generous in your ratings, but what was it that maybe put you off giving someone a long listing credit?
Yeah, there was just there weren't many, because I persevered with the toilet ones as well. The only ones I sort of red flagged and couldn't get to grips with were the non-consensual type ones that veered into territory that I personally am very uncomfortable with.
And I mean, that was against our rules. Consent was a big factor.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they just sort of, some of them just slipped in. But like I said, the majority was so clever. The concept, the writing, and the fun they were having with the brief that you gave.
Yeah, I feel like the comedy category was one where, it was fun to read because you could just tell how much fun people were having just playing around with the concept as well. But
yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things that you two do really, really well, because I think entering competitions, especially if you're in like an early writer and you're just sort of starting or you've been at it a few years or whatever, it does seem very laid back and very uplifting and a hopeful space that you offer. Because do you remember, Amanda, years ago when we would enter some of our work in competitions and then you'd be like, biting your nails, trying, you took it dead seriously, be on tenterhooks, and then when you didn't get anywhere, we were crying into our pillows, and I'd be like, oh my God, we took it so seriously, and you took the rejection to heart. So I would really love for your listeners who didn't get placed, just don't take it to heart at all, because we all go through that. Just keep writing and getting better. And if it's for you, do a writing course. We loved ours, didn't we, Amanda?
Yeah, if nothing else, you'll make some friends, right? Well, thank you so much, Jo. Now, before we go, we have to get your top pick, because we would like to offer the winner of your top pick their choice of one of your books. So which story earned your top pick in the comedy category?
I think because it's off the top of my head and I'd finished quite a few months ago, I finished my judging. If I can still remember that plastic surgery one, then that obviously is a story that stuck out. There were so many of them that were really clever, but that one, the doctor one, definitely spring to mind months and months after having read them. So on that theme then, I've got a book coming out in April, and that is a skit on Love Island. You know that programme? Is it big in Australia? My niece was on that show a couple of years ago on Love Island. So I got all the behind the scenes gossip. And that is a show very much, the people are beautiful, aren't they? And it's all about the lip fillers and the eyelashes and the hair extensions. So I'm wondering if that book, which is called Coupling Up, that might be an excellent prize for your winner.
Sounds good.
Otherwise, any of the girls trilogy that I have out, because I used to live in Spain, just up the road from a place called Benidorm. And for anyone listening in Australia that hasn't been to Spain, Benidorm is where all the big stag and hen do's go. It's all about the booze, really. The cocktails, the drinking, everyone's dressed up to the nines. The Girls Just Want to Have Sun is the first of that trilogy. So whoever wrote that story, Skin Deep, might enjoy those stories too.
I think so, and I can vouch for those. They're hilarious.
Yeah, so let's announce the winner. So the winner of Jo's top pick, Skin Deep, is Crystal Vase. So congratulations, Crystal, on your win.
Crystal Vase. I love it.
And yes, that is a pen name.
Well done, Crystal. Fantastic effort. Really enjoyed the story so much.
Well, thank you so much, Jo, for all your help with judging. I know it was a big ask and you had one of the biggest categories, in fact, probably the biggest category.
Biggest, yes.
So we did lump you with a lot of work there, and we really appreciate your time, not only in judging, but also today in chatting with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and keep up the good work, guys. You're really smashing it. I love to listen to the podcast. I love the books that have come out with all of everybody's hard work in. It's brilliant.
And for those of you who think Jo's romantic comedy sounds like it's up your alley, so to speak, we'll be putting a link in the show notes for that.
So before we get to what everyone wants to hear, which is our reading of our first little piece of erotic fiction, we wanted to talk a little bit more generally about the category. So erotic comedy, I know this is one that you were looking forward to.
On some level, this was like, to me, one of the whole reasons that we ran this comp, like just for fun. You know, we'd been talking about Chuck Tingle and all that inanimate object romance. I'd written my own, you know, for Writing Battle and found it incredibly fun. And I know our not quite writers are often just as unhinged as me. So I was really excited to see what everyone would do with the theme and with this opportunity to just write something a little bit maybe different to what they might otherwise be writing. And I was not disappointed. Like the titles alone were hilarious and we shouted some out in the long list episode. But we also had a huge array of inanimate object erotica. And they didn't all feature in the comedy category, but many did. So I just thought it might be a good opportunity to just quickly talk about that. Yeah. So across all 6 categories, we had 28 stories that featured inanimate objects as one of the parties to the sexual activity. So that was amazing. They included everything from a sex doll, which you might expect, to a curling iron, a Roomba, supermarket self-checkout, CPAP machine, a pizza, a sentient house, a volcano, bottled water, and even an Ethernet cable, very sexy Ethernet cable.
Look, that's something we really wanted to encourage as well with the theme, you know, making the unsexy irresistible.
Exactly, just a bit of fun. And so some of those were hilarious. Like I said, they didn't all feature in the comedy category, but they were pretty much all hilarious as well. So really, really enjoyed those creative takes. But just on that, I suppose, like if we're just talking about comedy as a category and things we noticed, and I would say that the one challenge, and if people are reflecting back on their own stories in this category, the one challenge that probably cropped up more often was that the story kind of really leaned on its clever concept, maybe sometimes at the expense of the actual erotica in some cases. So it never really got from funny to sexy. Like I was having a great time reading these stories, piercing myself laughing. But when it came down to judging the top stories, I also really wanted to see something that was going to be sexy as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, comedy is a thing in its own right and erotica is a thing in its own right. So that's 2 elements now that are being balanced in a story. I guess on a personal level, I don't know if erotic comedy is the genre for me for that reason, I guess, because for me it's either it's funny or it's hot kind of. It's really hard to do both. I think it's probably a little bit different for you maybe.
Well, maybe. I mean, we were talking about this on our private chat. You know, I was calling myself a lolosexual, right? Because I was really enjoying this category and it was like, I personally think it is a huge turn on if someone is really funny. Like actually a sexy thing to be very funny. And so I don't think those are mutually exclusive kind of feelings. Like, I mean, rom-com, right, is different, but it's a whole genre on its own where those 2 things come together. And the best rom-coms are both. The best rom-coms are really funny, but also really have this romantic story, characters that we love, characters that we want to get together in the end really badly. You know, those are the things that make a great rom-com. And same goes here. Like what makes a great erotic fiction? Well, one that is funny, but where that funniness feeds into what makes it sexy, where the result is that everyone's having a great time because it's hilarious and sexy, and that's what the appeal is. Something being spicy doesn't necessarily mean as well that it needs to like have a happily ever after at the end or anything like that. You can sort of take it down a comedic route in terms of where the story ends as well. And it is challenging, as you say, to do all of those things successfully. And it was challenging. And that's, you know, some of these stories rose to the top because of that, because they managed to tick all those boxes.
Yeah, that was a common theme with a lot of the stories actually. Like we had to decide between how well it fit into the category versus how erotic and sexy it was because we really have to prioritize that in this comp because that's the whole point of the comp, right? It needed to have at least some major element of that and ideally a balance of both. So looking forward to sharing some of those stories with you. And you mentioned comedic roots and let's share a couple of those comedic roots with you now. All right, so in 3rd place, we've actually got 2 third places. It's a tie for this category. We just couldn't decide.
We could not decide.
This is the only category that we have 2 for, but we just couldn't bear to choose between these 2.
Yeah, it was impossible because we've said this before, but it's not comparing apples and apples. So each story had its strengths and it's like which one came out on top, if you will, and we just weren't able to make that decision. And how do you choose which is your favourite child? Just impossible. So we thought, hey, why not? We will actually just call it. We'll call it.
We were agonising over this for like an hour and then we just thought, well, we don't really have to decide, do we?
No, exactly.
We make up the rules as we go.
We make up the fucking rules and who's going to complain about an extra prize?
So the 3rd place getters for this category and all the categories will win a erotic novel by Nikki Sex. So you can check out Nikki Sex by searching her up on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a whole lot of novels out, one of which is going to be won by each of our third place getters.
So we'll be getting in contact with these third place holders to get their address and post out their prize.
So in equal third place, we had Plant Daddy Dave by Zara Eloise Rowe, who's a regular contestant, I believe, in the Not Quite Right prize. I recognise Zara's name.
And in terms of bringing the unhinged comedy, this was it.
Yeah.
Like, this was completely unhinged. In this story, a single guy who maybe doesn't want to be single takes some drugs and ends up in an intimate encounter with a houseplant.
We've all been there.
I mean, I love a bit of gardening.
You know what I mean.
Love a bit of gardening, if you know what I'm saying. Haven't fucked a houseplant to date, but no, this story was completely ridiculous. So funny. Pretty spicy.
It was quite spicy, yeah.
Like, it didn't shy away from quite graphic descriptions of what was going on, but also huge comedic element. Basically, he gets discovered by his neighbours at the end, and it all just comes unraveled at the end. I guess what I loved about this story was its shock value, number one. Like, it just went really hard into crazy territory. And I guess you could say maybe it had that sort of it was all a dream element of it. Like, you pull it back and it's actually a guy on drugs. But it made it believable in that way, unfortunately. I don't really want to believe that sort of thing's going on. But yeah, absolutely laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, I think what sold it for me as well is the fact that, of course, it's laced with like the whole absurdity of the situation, right? It's hard to be turned on by someone having sex with a plant, but he was turned on. The character was turned on, and that came through in the writing. I think that's
emotional
very
resonance,
exactly.
if you will.
And look, I just want to comment as well. There were several stories involving plant sex.
A lot of plant sex stories.
That's a thing. I believe that's a thing.
Oh, hello. Okay, we've uncovered a bit of a niche here. So congratulations, Zara. We'll be sending your book out to you very soon.
And the other story in equal third place is Smoke Show by Nicholas Sparks, which I'm fairly confident is a pen name.
Oh, you think so?
And that's Nicholas, Knickerless.
Without one's knickers, if you will.
Exactly. This is an inanimate object romance, I guess, but it's actually from the perspective of the inanimate object. So it's a cigarette basically being smoked, but the language of the cigarette being smoked, it's clear that cigarette really wants to be smoked and relishes every minute of the experience.
I think what I really liked about this one was the clever concept. So basically, the whole premise of this story was that the human sex is just the foreplay, and the smoking of the cigarette is what they all really came here for. And so one might argue that the whole post-coital cigarette is already kind of sexy, but like, speaking for myself, smoking is a very unsexy thing, and certainly the consequences of smoking are quite unsexy. So I think that was a perfect use of the theme there as well. Even though, I mean, there wasn't sex happening, it was the smoking of a cigarette, but it was described in very, very sexual terms, which were also very punny and hilarious while being pretty spicy too.
Yeah, so congratulations, Nicholas. You'll be receiving your book very soon. But now, Amanda, it's time to pop your cherry.
Oh dear.
Are you ready?
No. No, I am excited. It's probably a good time to reveal that this second place story actually earned the honour of my top pick overall of all the stories. So while it wasn't the winner in this category or overall winner, it was the one that I loved. You know, this one got my heart. I thought it was incredibly funny, incredibly clever take on the theme. And so as my top pick, the author of this story, in addition to their second place prizes, will be getting a book from us too.
So the talented second place holder for this category will be winning a bottle of wine from our friends at Naked Wines, as well as a Witch's Cauldron grinder from Odyssey Toys. So Odyssey Toys specializes in fantasy sex toys. So a Witch's Cauldron grinder, if your imagination is running wild now, you can go on the website and the Flash Fiction page and look at a picture of that. And if you're not sure what a grinder is or what its purpose is, I'll leave you to look that one up. But we do hope our second place getter appreciates and enjoys their prizes.
So with all of that said, our second place holder in the erotic comedy category and my personal top pick for Flesh Fiction 2025 is Our Friend Tommy by S. Therese. One more minute, Liam calls from the bathroom. He told me he needed to take care of business before things could continue. When men have said that in the past, I assume they're taking a shit. I suppose the current situation wasn't too far off, considering the circumstances. I met Liam on Bumble. We'd gone back and forth about our first date for days. I wanted cocktails in a dimly lit bar, but Liam, apparently much more sensible than me, wanted to meet at a cafe. Dating during the day made me nervous. One-night stands and seedy pubs felt safe, despite being the definition of risky for a woman. I'd struggled to let anyone in since my last boyfriend, and while I'd moved on and had more sweaty nights with strangers than I'd care to admit, the idea of going on a date sober made my stomach churn. But I was nearly 36 and one cat purchase away from spinsterhood. So I agreed to meet Liam at the cafe. I was pleasantly gobsmacked when he walked up to me. He was dressed in dark jeans and a crisp white tee that made his olive skin pop. "Avery?" Liam said, flashing a smile of perfect white teeth. "Yep," I shrugged, painfully awkward and trying to ignore the sweat beading on my lip. "It's me." He gave me a quick hug and engaged in the usual small talk before ordering some drinks. 2 matcha lattes to go. "This tastes like grass," Liam said after we left the cafe, strolling along Smith Street. "Wait, you don't like matcha?" Liam grinned coyly. "I panicked and copied you. Don't judge me." He shot me a faux, embarrassed look that made my heart thump. He was cute. I nudged him playfully. "It's good for your gut. Just hold your nose and down it." Liam chuckled. "Trust me, it won't be good for my gut." He told me about his Crohn's after that, and Tommy. I was diagnosed young, so my gastro told me to give the ostomy a name to make it less scary. Tommy felt like a natural choice. He looked at the ground while explaining that he usually waits until the second date to talk about it, but wanted to do things differently this time. Be more open, more honest. I quietly pondered, wondering if I should say what I wanted to say. Before thinking, fuck it, if he wanted open and honest, then here it was. "So does that mean you don't have to shit? Like, ever?" "Because I've shit myself maybe twice this year. Honestly, your situation sounds like a superpower." Liam burst out laughing. "What the fuck? I don't have anything fancy like Crohn's, just plain old IBS. But like, really shitty IBS. Like, picture 6s or 7s on the Bristol stool chart on a good day." Actually, don't picture that. I giggled nervously. I'd always had to hide my irritable bowel from men I'd dated. This was freeing. Liam's eyebrows knitted together as he stared at me. I took another sip of matcha and stared back, hoping I was still giving cute and mysterious despite describing the exact consistency of my bowel movements. He set down the matcha and grabbed my hands. His fingers were wet from the condensation, but otherwise soft and warm to touch. "Avery, I can't explain it, but that's gotta be one of the sexiest things I've ever heard." You might think that things just exploded after that he kissed me, reveling in the gurgling sounds of my bowels while I stroked his thigh with one hand and ostomy with the other. But that didn't happen. He was too much of a gentleman and just smiled, saying he'd like to see me again. So we went on more dates, movies, brunch, bowling. So many dates and not a single kiss. But sexual tension hung heavily, threatening to smother us. and my crush on Liam grew bigger each and every day. 3 weeks passed by before he finally suggested dinner and drinks. A nighttime, dimly lit date. My favourite. I'd spent extra care getting ready that evening, slipping on a slinky dress that hugged my body and made my tits look fantastic. When the light hit just right, you could make out the shape of my nipples through the sheer fabric. I hoped Liam would notice. He arrived at the bar a few minutes after me. I was already sitting in a booth with 2 Negronis in hand. He slid in beside me, eyes lingering on my chest before looking at the drinks. Avery, alcohol can make things complicated for me. Oh fuck, I'm sorry, I said, embarrassed for assuming he drank. Does it make you unwell? No, it doesn't make me unwell. It just makes Tommy fill faster. I blinked, still not really understanding. Does that matter? Yes and no. The bag being empty is... He cleared his throat nervously. Sometimes desirable for certain activities. Realization hit me. Activities? I was thinking about activities. I closed the space between us and pressed against him. My nipples grazed his bicep as I pulled his face towards me and kissed him. I feel his breath catch as our lips meet. His scent washes over me. Strawberries, peppermint, and a hint of antiseptic. Liam's hands move from my back to my hair before finally slipping underneath my dress. I push my hips towards him, feeling his fingers brush against my soft lace underwear, and whisper in his ear, "Let's get out of here." Liam leads me towards the bedroom as soon as we arrive at his apartment, lust heavy in his eyes. My heart thuds in my ears as I follow. He sits me down on the bed and tells me to make myself comfortable, then disappears into the bathroom. Minutes later, Liam returns, naked except for a pair of briefs. He shuffles out tentatively, still half cast in darkness. "I hope this is okay," he whispers. I think, well, obviously, before realising that he's not talking about being half naked. He's talking about Tommy. It's hard to make out, but it looks like he's rolled the bag up and secured it with a bulldog clip. It's so he won't, flap around. He shifts from foot to foot in the doorway. I stand up and cross the room, then kneel down so I'm level with Liam's crotch and Tommy. It twitches slightly as I watch, as though aware of my gaze. "Can I touch it?" I ask. Liam laughs. "You're strange, Avery. Yes, you can touch him." I gently stroke the olive skin around Tommy and watch as it twitches again. "Are you making it move?" Liam chuckles. "No, Tommy does his own thing. Usually he just embarrasses me. But I think he likes you." "Tommy," I repeat, giggling. It really is the perfect name. I stand up and pull off my dress, tossing it aside. Liam watches, his cheeks are flushed and his bulge aggressively presses against his briefs. He leads me back to the bed and gently lowers me down. His hands hover on my hips, tugging at the edge of my underwear. "Is this okay?" he asks. "Yes," I say, exhaling into his neck. Soon our underwear is off, tossed onto the floor by my dress. Between kissing my stomach, hips and thighs, I hear Liam rummaging in the nightstand. And then the telltale rip of foil. "And this is okay?" he says, pressing against me, I grin. Absolutely. Liam pushes into me, filling me in all the right places. He's big, but we fit together perfectly. He kisses my neck and I moan as we move together. My body hums with electricity everywhere he touches. I knot my fingers in his hair and pull him closer, deeper. I vaguely notice a metallic click, followed by a tap against my stomach. I look down and realize it's Tommy. The clip has fallen off. He's untethered and going off the way he's rubbing against my hips. Wants to join the fun. Shit, Liam says, reaching downward. Don't. I groan into his ear. I like it. Liam crushes his mouth against mine and thrusts harder. We move together in perfect synchronicity, me, Liam, and Tommy. I draw back and Liam pushes forward, filling all the space. And Tommy tap, tap, taps. We're the perfect team. We reach a crescendo at the same time. I explode as Liam spills into the condom. He groans into the crook of my neck with pleasure. Following suit, Tommy lets out a soft, wet gurgle, making the bag feel warm and full between our bodies. Liam doesn't apologize this time. He just laughs, mouth still pressed against my neck. We all came together, I say, smiling at the ceiling. I pull him closer and start mentally planning for our next date. Already excited for the next three-way with me, Liam, and his friend, Tommy.
So congratulations, Therese, for your story, and a huge well done to Amanda for getting through that one.
I did struggle. It's challenging to try and put on a sexy voice when you have an Australian accent. I know it works for the Hemsworths, but anyway, I hope I did that some level of justice. It was definitely very, very fun to read. Absolutely leapt off the page for me. Most of our listeners probably know that my husband is paraplegic, so I guess we are in that disability community. So to see such fun representation of something that I guess is generally seen as unsexy and problematic, to find a fun way of bringing that into the sex scene, I think was a highlight for me, and it's what made it stand out. For those who are in the community, I guess like it is just a part of life, and it's possibly difficult to understand for someone on the outside, but you definitely have to have a sense of humour if you want to live this life. And I think this story was such a good representation of that, and I really, really appreciated it for that reason.
Yeah, and what I liked about this story as well, I mean, this is the erotic comedy category, and so it definitely had the comedic element. It's a lot of shitting taking place and a lot of, IBS and awkward situations, which is very comedic, but really it has that heart, right? It has that romantic heart, and I guess like the yearning from the female lead and the acceptance from, I guess, both parties to each other. It was very, very romantic and lots of fun as well.
Yeah, and just, I guess, back to the disability representation thing, because I think when you are in that world, like the characters you see are like overcoming their disability and they're like heroic. It's like, oh, even though your life is so difficult, you manage to like still be happy or whatever it might be. But for me, this is real. This is real. And being able to show a couple who can have fun with it and have a laugh, but still find each other incredibly sexy. And in this case, really pushing the envelope there to make it a threesome with this ostomy, and not just, I love you in spite of it or whatever, but like, this is the sexy thing now. I love this about you. Like, that was such a great take on the theme, and really well done, like in a way that felt believable. I felt the character's emotion through that, and that's what made it stand out. It's also just really well written, fun dialogue, really bouncy, and it stays funny throughout. It's not just like one gag and we're done. It's like the whole thing is just, we were talking earlier about rom-coms and how like pairing eroticism and comedy should be something that we can do. And I think that this story did that successfully. So well done, Therese.
Well done, and enjoy your forthcoming bottle of wine and Witch's Cauldron grinder. Whipping up an interesting brew with those items. So that was our second place. And as we mentioned, we will be reserving our winner for the category for the final episode. But if you are on the long list and you're in this category, you still have a chance to win the category and the whole comp. So stick around for that, and also stick around for some more great stories.
One other thing worth mentioning is that these 3 stories that we've mentioned in equal third, second place today, as well as the winning story for this category, we'll be approaching all those authors with a request to appear in our flesh fiction collection that we'll be publishing. So if we mentioned your story, we'll be contacting you about that soon. And I think we mentioned this in the long list episode, but we'll include stories that didn't even make the long list because there were some that we really wanted to feature, which, we mentioned earlier there were stories that were funny but maybe weren't as sexy or whatever, but they're excellent stories. So we'll be approaching those authors as well.
So stick around and we'll be back very soon with the next category. And until then, ride on.
Ride on.
Thank you for listening to Not Quite Right. If you'd like to reach us via email or follow us on social media, you can find all the links on our website, notquiterightpodcast.com. That's WRITE. And if you enjoyed the show, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcasting app.
Something doesn't seem quite right.
Hopefully that doesn't come through.
If you're hearing a buzzing right now,
It may be coming from your own room.
sorry, if you're hearing that buzzing, that's just the prize box going off. Someone forgot to turn it off before they put it back in the packet.
If you get any prizes and they've been opened,
Sorry, not sorry.
just give them a good wash before use. Always a good idea. No, I haven't made love with any of the prizes. Just to
Made love. Jesus Christ.
inanimate object romance.